I knew that something was going to happen.
Such happy neighbors at first.
I didn't know when, had no idea how, but I knew.
He said, she said, you don't know who's telling the truth.
Bastard!
Paul felt that he and his family were constantly under attack.
Beating me!
Our lives went from a dream to a nightmare.
And that nightmare shattered real lives.
Nobody ever tells you that the monsters can be a nice little guy next door.
It all started peacefully a long time ago.
Elyria is a working class community. At that time, back in the 70s, there was a lot of small businesses, a lot of working people.
The neighborhood where this incident took place was, at the time, a pretty good area.
After a lifetime of renting, Peggy and Daryl Oskins finally managed to buy their first home.
It was the beginning of a new chapter for us. It was a home, a place to raise our kids.
They have a son, Mark, and a daughter, Becky. Daryl is the main breadwinner.
I was at that time working in the steel plant. Money was extremely tight for us. Really wasn't making that much money there.
Guys, what I got?
But we were getting by.
Oh, it was tough. You know, we lived payday to payday.
Your favorite, Mark? Hot dogs?
The struggling young family finds a lifeline next door. In their neighbors, the Hashmans, Paul, Cleta, and their daughter, Sonia. Sonia was born with Down syndrome.
Everybody, I want you to meet our new neighbors.
Hi.
They've been living there for as long as we can remember, and are much older than the Oskins.
I see you're having hot dogs.
Paul served in World War II. He belongs to what's been called the greatest generation.
Paul Hashman took a job in a manufacturing facility, worked in industry his whole life. He was part of the generation that really built this country.
You didn't need to show my walk. That's no problem. Oh, thank you. Look at that.
Cleta, she was like a little angel. She was very nice. Paul, on the other hand, he was a little standoffish.
Paul, I think, was a gentle soul. He didn't want problems with anyone. He had a stuttering problem, and I think it made him somewhat insecure.
The couple are devoted to their Sonia.
The era that Paul and Cleta would have grown up in, it was kind of socially unacceptable to have a special needs child.
She didn't spend a lot of time outside, so never really knew her so much.
Over the years, the Hashmans are always there to lend a hand.
My parents lived out of state. They actually felt like my surrogate parents. We cook up the rice. Cleta taught me how to make stuffed peppers. Paul had a garden. He gave us vegetables.
So much.
Grandma and Grandpa neighbor is what we called them. I mean, and they were kind of family-like. I do remember there was an instance where my mom, my dad, me, Mark, we were all sick with the flu.
And Cleta would call to see how we were doing. Told her I was as sick as a dog. I'd have to die to get better.
They actually packed up a box of food and brought it over for us.
And there were many times when I'd be short, you know, needed bread and milk money.
Whenever there is need, Paul and Cleta come by to help the Oskins make ends meet.
$20. Just enough to get some bread and milk for the kids, and I thought, wow, they're almost as good as my parents at that point.
It seems these folks always step up, no matter what.
There was an instance when there was a snake in my flower bed. Oh! Oh! I do not like snakes. So Paul came and got it.
Oh, I hate snakes.
I was grateful.
A snake in the grass will prove to be an omen of darkness to come. But that's a long way off from now. Time seems to fly by. Life is getting better, easier for the Oskins.
We had managed to wriggle ourselves out of a major debt to where we could actually afford to live comfortably.
For the dinner party. Right.
Margaret Lowry joins our happy gang.
Yeah, are you bringing anybody?
Peggy and Daryl are the type of neighbors that when you move into a new place, you hope you get.
After all these years, the Oskins are part of the community fabric.
There was a hammer that was needed. Daryl would always have it. You need a cup of coffee, Peggy would always have it warm. You need somebody to talk to, you can always go to them for a ride.
I was extremely happy. Things just seemed like everything was going so smoothly.
Before we knew it, the kids were teenagers.
The Oskins raised really good kids. Becky, boisterous, a lot of energy, powerful person. Mark, more reserved.
The Hashmans are still next door.
Did you see that?
Getting on in years, like the rest of us.
And they didn't even apologize.
Sonia is now in her 40s and needs constant care.
When I first met the Hashmans, they're the quintessential couple. Sweet little white-haired lady, really nice old guy, always had a tool or a garden piece in his hand. Short conversation, highs and byes all the time, would wave when he went by. Just really nice neighbors. In the beginning.
But lately, every now and then, we'd see another side of Paul.
Mark and I were outside with a couple of our friends, and the volleyball went over their fence. He decided, well, I'll just jump over the fence and get the ball.
What's going on out here? What are you doing? Get out of my yard. Go.
And Paul was outside with I think it was a broom handle, you know, shaking it at us that we were trespassing.
Show some respect. Can't you keep control of these people?
I'm sure they weren't doing anything.
They were just in my yard.
We were kind of shocked. Paul is usually everybody's grandfather.
I really don't know why he would have reacted that way. I mean, it was us.
Paul, come back in the house. Come on.
People that age become very possessive of their homes.
One day, there's a big change for Paul Hashman. After a long working life, he finally retires.
Hey, Paul. Big day for you, huh?
I guess so.
He worked hard. I mean, he worked hard for his entire life. Supported his family, never received any benefits, took care of people, kept to himself, but was a good neighbor for years and years and years.
He's going to be staying home all day long now, watching every little thing that goes on around his house. Like Daryl's passion for restoring cars, especially his 1966 GTO Pontiac, which is the talk of our neighborhood.
That car was just a joy to work on.
That car is his baby.
Who can imagine that wanting to take care of baby will trigger a tragic chain of events?
At that point, I knew that my car, my wife's car, they needed a place to be kept undercover. I had a little one-car shack of a garage, and I went to the building department and put in for a permit to build a new garage.
Oh, there's the plans there that we've got for the garage.
Yes.
Daryl gets the proper permits and starts construction. But once he's underway, a letter arrives from the city demanding that he stop.
Can you believe that?
This doesn't make any sense.
I know.
We stayed within the limits of the law.
I'm not so mad at him.
We found out it was Paul.
Did you file a complaint against us?
It's got to go immediately.
It's too close to my house. It's got to go. Come on. We have a permit. It's legal. We're building it. Come on.
He thought it encroached upon his property, it was too large for the property.
Paul said that the garage was too tall. It was too wide. It blocked his view. It was too close to the property line. Just numerous complaints that were all unfounded.
And they don't stop, even when the garage is finished.
He says, you know, you can't work on cars in that garage. And I didn't know exactly what to say about that. Other than I just looked back at him and I said, Paul, I'll work on my cars in my garage anytime I want.
You can't.
You just mind your own business and we'll be fine.
I can do whatever I want. It's my property.
That didn't sit well with him.
Daryl's response was basically, it's too bad for you.
The years of peacefully living side by side are starting to fall apart.
Paul ended up being, instead of my surrogate parent, my worst nightmare.
All hell is going to break loose.
Can you believe that?
This doesn't make any sense.
I know.
It was slow and it was progressive. It would go from a wave in the morning to, hi, Paul, how are you doing today? And he'd scowl and walk into his garage.
Hey, get out of here!
The people in the neighborhood didn't know what was going to happen next.
Show some respect.
Paul Hashman tried to stop his neighbor, Daryl Oskins, from building a garage. This is how their vicious feud began.
Paul filed complaints because he thought the legal system in the city of Elyria would give him some relief, because he was a law-abiding citizen, and he thought that if I bring this to the attention of the authorities in the city of Elyria, they would do something about this garage. And he was very disappointed they would not help him.
At the same time, Paul is dealing with something infinitely more upsetting. His beloved Cleta is fighting for her life.
I don't know what Cleta was diagnosed with. I noticed that an ambulance had come to their house a time or two.
When I first found out Cleta was sick, it was through Peggy. And she told me that she was not only sick, but that she was probably going to die.
Are you okay?
Yeah, good dear.
I think Paul's coping with his wife becoming sick was very difficult.
You chopping yourself?
More and more, little things get under his skin. Like the noise of his neighbors having a good time in their own backyard.
We're sitting there enjoying a fire, having conversation, and we hear a fire truck. It stops out front, and the fireman comes back, and he says, "You've got to be kidding." The flame was, less than a foot tall. Paul called 911. I honestly don't have a clue as to why Paul would do that.
No matter how angry Paul gets, Cleta is always there to rein him in.
Cleta had a calming effect. She was the glue that held that family together.
But that isn't going to last much longer. Cleta's illness confirmed as cancer, and it's terminal.
He didn't handle it well. He became obsessed. He became very, very much unreasonable, I think, in dealing with his neighbors. But nobody reached out to discuss with him what the real issues and problems were.
As things disintegrate, there is too much friction fear for anyone to reach out.
Paul came up and said that when she dies,
When my wife is gone, all hell is going to break loose.
and that is pretty much what happened.
In that awful year, Paul loses Cleta forever.
I believe it was beyond difficult for him.
She did everything. She took care of Sonia, she took care of Paul.
I think Cleta's death was a turning point for Paul.
Paul became more aggressive after Cleta passed.
Release your tongue? Yeah, no kidding. I've just been basically...
But it's kind of a passive aggression at first. Nothing extreme, but still very hard to take.
What do you think?
I noticed he had binoculars pointing at the house, into the window where we were sitting having coffee. So you know he has a clear view into the window. Both Peggy and I were becoming fearful. And it was creepy sitting down, having a conversation with a friend in your secure home, knowing somebody's right outside that window.
It feels like Paul is always out there, watching. Daryl decides to put up a barricade.
I wanted my family to be safe. I was just looking out for the kids and my wife.
But building a fence doesn't bring any peace to the neighborhood.
After the fence was built, things escalated.
Peggy and Daryl can deal with Paul's complaints about their garage.
It's got to go.
And just hang out in their own backyard. But what comes next is almost too much to handle.
I looked up and think, oh my God. He wasn't pointing the gun at me, but he was holding a gun sideways and he was pointing. I felt that Paul was threatening to kill us. Looking back now, I believe he was giving us a warning.
And then after that, it was terrible.
Cut out the noise. I can do whatever I want. It's my property.
Neighbor cases are bad because it's a he said, she said. You don't know who's telling the truth. And I always tell my clients that fences make good neighbors.
But fences aren't working with these two families. Did sweet old Paul Hashman really flash a gun at the Oskins?
The police arrived, the patrol officers, they went, talked with Paul.
You don't own any type of a firearm?
None at all, no.
He denied displaying any handgun.
All they do is harass me.
They've threatened you?
I was scared.
Paul let him search the house, and he didn't require them to get a search warrant. He voluntarily agreed to that.
They did not locate any handgun or any other weapons or any ammunition. So there was no arrest, there was no evidence to support the statement that he displayed a gun.
When the officer came back to our house, he says, ma'am, I believe you, but he didn't see a gun. But I believe you.
So, again, Paul was falsely accused of something by the Oskin family. I think Peggy lied about that incident to harass Paul.
And things just kept going from there.
We're not quite sure what might have caused Paul to act out. He's recently widowed, a single father of a special needs child, surviving on a modest pension. Life can't be easy.
He was taking the role of his father seriously. He could have put Sonia in a group home, but he chose not to. He chose to keep her at home and care for her himself because she needs 24-hour care. He was providing that.
Whatever is making Paul behave this way, the Oskins have become a target.
I used to receive numerous. They were just hang-up phone calls, just, the aggravating kind.
Hello?
I didn't know who it was. Nobody ever said anything.
Hello?
Now, that man, he was stalking us through the telephone.
And there are times when his anger is unleashed in broad daylight, face to face.
Hey! Hey, you two! I'm done with you!
Go back inside, old man. He said he was going to kill my mother effing dog and the whole family.
I'm gonna kill you!
I was absolutely fearful, especially for my mom.
Don't you walk out on me! You come back!
She was home alone. That left the door open for anything to happen, and she was by herself. What could she have done?
For the lonely widower, Sonia is the center of his life. Encounters between the Oskins and his daughter can make him fly off the handle.
What is done? Get away from her! Get away from her! Go!
He did feel threatened. He felt his daughter was being threatened as well.
Paul even claims that Becky attacked Sonia.
Me trying to assault Sonia is a huge slap in the face. I'm 5 foot. At this time, I was maybe 110 pounds. It's beyond ridiculous to me. It really hurts. I was raised better than that.
Things got worse when Cleta died because she was really the only person that could go over and talk to the Oskins. Paul couldn't do that. She could do that. She was the goodwill ambassador of the family, and she kept the peace. And when she passed, there was no one to pick up that baton and carry on.
Angry, alone, Paul is lashing out at those people who live closest to him.
I used an electric leaf blower to blow the grass clippings off the sidewalk and into the tree lawn. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw this movement. And I looked up, and he already had his cane up over his head. It was coming down towards my head. I pulled the leaf blower up and pointed it into his face to just distract him.
No!
But Paul sees things differently. He claims Daryl launched the assault.
Paul felt that he and his family were constantly under attack to the extent that they were being falsely accused of things they didn't do.
The Oskins complain to police, but nothing happens. Less than 2 weeks later, there's another incident.
This is almost like a two-parter.
I saw him on the sidewalk in front of the house. He just glared at me. Then the next thing I know, I see him raising his hand up with the cane above his head. I stuck my arm up in front of my head, and he hit me in the forearm, and I turned my back, and that's when he struck me a second and a third time. And then he walked away.
Paul was definitely becoming physical, more violent.
The police showed up.
Thank you for coming.
We told them what had happened.
Okay, the guy next door.
They were kind of snickering about it.
Seems like a very frail gentleman.
Yeah. I had taken my shirt off. They saw the bruises on my arm and on my back. And they said, oh.
The patrol officers spoke with Paul. They actually arrested Paul Ashman for assault. And that case went to court, and it was later dismissed at the Muni court level for a lack of evidence.
Both sides feel betrayed by the justice system. And now, when they look across their fences, they see the enemy staring back.
I was afraid for my wife and my children. I couldn't imagine going to work and coming home and finding the family slaughtered. But that's what I was afraid of.
Paul worked hard his entire life, and he deserved to live out his golden years without being terrorized and harassed by neighbors.
On a quiet afternoon, the ongoing ordeal turns downright ugly.
I was afraid to go to work because I didn't want something to happen at my house without me being there. I
had had rotator cuff surgery. Then Paul comes out, as usual, and he started
and now I'm becoming frustrated with her.
Becky, please just ignore him, all right?
Because she wants to kind of cower away from it.
No.
Well, I do sometimes have a hot head. I said, you know, Paul, I am not afraid of you.
Never in a million years did I dream he would do what he did.
And the next thing you know, I was kind of running towards the front. He had his hand around my throat.
He was choking Beck. She couldn't get away from him. She was about to go down. I was unable to help her. It's hard, you know, you're watching your child be attacked. God sent Mark there at that time. Mark just wailed on him.
His little sister, he was angry. He was protecting me is what he was doing.
I was screaming at Mark to leave him alone. He's had enough. I called 911.
The war for order and respect is reaching the breaking point.
We thought that was as crazy as it was going to get. It wasn't.
In fact, the worst is yet to come.
We talked about what Paul would do next. Was he going to go after Peggy?
For exclusive footage, go to investigationdiscovery.com.
You don't think somebody's going to turn scary. You don't think you're going to have to fear your neighbor. The problem is the monsters that we're taught about. The Jasons, Freddys, the scary monsters under the bed. You know about those. Nobody ever tells you that the monsters can be the nice little guy next door.
It was starting to become a familiar sight in our neighborhood. The police rushing to our two neighbors' homes.
The police questioned all of us, you know, for our version of what happened.
The Oskins claim that Paul attacked Becky.
Someone gave me a mirror and I could see the thumbprint lay on the side of my neck.
But Paul tells a very different story.
And he came out of the car and just attacked me. They're animals.
He says the three of them attacked him. He suffered serious injuries. He had a broken nose, and he had cuts all about his face and his body, and he was bleeding heavily.
Do I look like I could hurt any one of those people?
What he did to her.
So I had no choice. I had to hit him a few times.
Am I sorry that Paul got his butt handed to him by my son? The only thing I can say there is Paul was lucky. I don't think I would have stopped had I started beating him. I would have probably beat him to death.
I do remember officers saying, now, you know, we could arrest you too. They believed that we were the aggressors, that I caused Paul to put his hands around me.
Paul is taken away, but police do not lay charges.
He says, it's he said, she said. You can't prove anything.
Daryl was furious.
I saw the damage he had done to my daughter, and I almost died. That was my flesh and blood that he had his hands on.
Monster! He's not gonna get away with this. Who the hell does he think he is?
He so wanted to take matters into his own hands. Oh, he wanted to break his neck.
Fortunately, things don't go that far.
There was an officer that did believe us. By the next day, charges were brought against Paul.
Paul is charged with assault. But while waiting for his trial, there he is, every single day, living next door.
And then after that, it was terrible.
Things were getting so bad.
He feels like the whole town is turning into a battleground.
I was at Walmart, and I go down an aisle, and oh God, there's Paul. Oh God. And he's going, you know, his mumbling like usual. And I go, Paul, not now, not here. I just wanted to get out of there. And I asked security to walk me to my car. I was tired of having to look over my shoulder.
No matter where Peggy goes, like a bad dream, Paul seems to be right there.
I was at the deli on Christmas Eve, and I felt, you know, somebody in my space. And I turned, and there was Paul. He just stood there and glared. Daryl always said that he wasn't afraid of him. He was afraid of what he would do to us. I was scared to death of him.
Paul's life at that time was very bad. He was dealing with the death of his wife. He also was dealing with caring for his daughter who had Down syndrome. He has hands full, and I don't know if he was really capable of dealing with all those issues, but he was doing the best he could.
But his best is making the Oskins' lives a living hell.
You're a prisoner in your own home.
I was always on edge. I had a mean streak coming up. Every time somebody would do a little something, I would snap.
5 long months after his altercation with Becky Oskins, Paul Hashman stands trial. We weren't sure what to think. Maybe he didn't mean to choke her, but we felt terrible for the Oskins as well. Both sides want justice.
The charge was amended to disorderly conduct persisting, which is fighting, and he was fined $318.
A slap on the wrist for trying to kill my daughter.
But this is a slap in the face for Paul Hashman, outraged at having to pay a single cent.
Are you laughing at my daughter? Get out of here.
Again, both sides feel justice has been denied.
Just ignore him.
That made everything worse. That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
He stewed for 10 days, and then he did what he did.
25 years of living next to each other, most of them in harmony, is reaching the horrible, final confrontation.
The temperature was like maybe below 30. There was 18 inches of snow on the ground. I looked up and I saw Paul coming out of his house. At that point, I turned my snowblower around towards the south and started clearing the sidewalk. I kind of looked up. I noticed Paul was not outside no more. And I looked back and he was standing in front of me, in front of my house. I saw him reach for his waistband, and I saw the pistol. I thought, I'm not going to be alive much longer.
You don't see someone very often that goes their whole life basically living a law-abiding life and then snaps. Hey! And goes out and commits a major felony.
The nightmare feud on our street has come down to this moment.
the first bullet struck me in the shoulder, took me to the ground. Can't say as I actually felt any pain, but it felt like I'd been hit with something hard.
I heard a noise. I don't know what I thought was. I dismissed it as being the snowblower backfired. And I turned around and went back to the kitchen.
And then I heard a second shot. I heard another shot. Pop, pop. And then the next thing I know, Paul's standing on top of me shooting. I tried to kick at him with my leg, knock him down, and all he did was drop down on top of me. And he shot me again, hit me in the leg.
And then I heard screams. No! I opened the front door, grabbed the phone, and I called 911.
I grabbed for the gun. The last shot, bullet went through my wrist and grazed my head.
Paul, he was killing him, and I had this plywood cutout goose decoration standing on the porch. And I just, whack him. I was afraid of what he was gonna do, but I just hit him again up alongside the head. Paul just turned and looked at me with the blankest, coldest, icy eyes that I've ever seen. Paul stood up and started to walk away. Help! Somebody help! The police are there, and they're instructing him to get on the ground.
Get down on your knees.
Some of us watched the whole thing from our front windows. We just couldn't believe this was happening on our street. Paramedics worked frantically to save Daryl's life.
I just remember telling him to get me out of here. I didn't want my wife to see me die on that sidewalk.
Paul is taken to jail. Daryl is rushed to hospital. He's been shot 7 times.
There was no blower on the sidewalk. There was one shoe on the sidewalk. I believe that was from Paul Hashman. And appeared to be some blood stains on the sidewalk.
They recovered 2 bullets out of me in all the surgeries that had been done. I still carry 4 of them.
Daryl spends 172 days in hospital, 2 months in a drug-induced coma. He undergoes 50 operations. He loses his spleen, his appendix, and suffers major damage to his intestines.
I've lost 6 or 7 inches of the ascending colon. I've lost the entire transverse colon. Probably a third, maybe a little better than a third of the descending colon.
I got him back. He's different. Some aspects, it's a good different.
Daryl's always been a survivor. He's a strong guy, but you don't lose that baggage. It's not something that you can therapy out or that you can just cope with or deal with. He has to live with it every day.
After all his intensive surgeries, Daryl is unable to return to work. Another trial, another chance to get justice. Paul is charged with attempted murder.
Our defense in court was self-defense. That he went out there, talked to Mr. Hoskins, and tell him to stop putting the snow on his property, and he was attacked by the snowblower, by Mr. Hoskins.
The jury hears evidence that Paul acted with intent to kill.
Paul did intend to kill Daryl. He told me that he went out, he intended to kill him. He said he should have done it 10 years ago. He says he wasn't remorseful for shooting Daryl. He was remorseful that there wasn't nobody left to take care of his daughter.
The defense counsel definitely used Paul's age as a benefit. Defense counsel tried to portray Daryl as a bully who was bullying this kind old man. And I think the defense smokescreen works pretty well on some of the jurors.
Paul Hashman is acquitted of attempted murder, but convicted of felonious assault. He's given a total of 7 years.
The verdict added insult to injury. I just do not understand how you could shoot somebody 7 times and have it be called anything but attempted murder.
Was justice served? No, justice was not served. No, not one way, shape, or form.
I believe that Paul never should have been sent to prison. He never hurt anyone in his 82 years until he ran into the Oskins family, and that's when the problem started.
Paul's daughter, Sonia, is placed in a care facility. He dies in prison in the last year of his sentence. He was 89 years old. The Oskins decide to move away, leaving behind the home they had loved for nearly 3 decades.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's a great neighborhood.
We're grateful that he did go to prison, and I'm more grateful that he died before he got out.
If I could talk to Paul, what would I ask him? Why couldn't you let it go? Why couldn't you just live? Take care of your daughter. I just want to live and take care of my family. That's all I want. Why couldn't you leave alone? Why couldn't you leave us alone?